Morning, good afternoon, good evening. We have covered the story of journalist Blessed Mhlanga, who was arrested, thrown in jail for no crime at all. His crime was that he had given a voice to Blessed Geza, who had criticized the ZANU-PF regime. And in Zimbabwe, that is a serious crime. Much as the regime has been hunting Blessed Geza, they managed to lay their hands on Blessed Mhlanga, the journalist, and his case is still pending. Here is Mhlanga relating to some of the inhuman treatment he received from the regime while he was in prison.
We were marched out of the cell naked, being beaten. And
you were beaten?
Yes, I was. And walked down to the quad, and they'd poured water on that quad, and it was a cold day that day. We were forced to sit for 30 minutes, over 30 minutes, in the cold, on wet concrete, without any clothes. We were treated like less than humans. Our crime was that one of the prisoners in Remand prison had gotten a gun, allegedly from one of them, from the prison officers themselves, and had escaped, right? We, as accused persons, are not paid to take care of other accused persons. We are not paid
to be informers.
Not to be informers, Trevor, because we didn't know anything. But we are not paid to secure prisoners. Those who were supposed to be punished are those who are paid for that particular job, to secure prisoners, to make sure they don't escape. You know, like for example, myself, even if the prison doors were going to be opened, Trevor, and everyone was going to run, I was going to sit there and wait.
Where does Blessed run to?
Or run for?
So you sit on in the mud.
On the concrete slab.
You're being beaten in the water.
Yes.
You're naked.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was that was the day I said, wow, we have no rights behind those walls. They can do whatever they want. You know. And I got so sick. I got a serious flu. The clinic didn't even have medication. You know. And
did that make you angry?
No. I had support, Trevor.
Talk to me about the support, because
we'll stop it right there. Ben, you heard the story. What do you think?
Good day to you and good day to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. I mean, I'm not surprised, to hear Blessed Mhlanga actually, say these things. I remember, the likes of Morgan Changirai, when he was in remand prison, when he came out, he was battered and bruised. That's just one among many others. Some went in there and they never did come out, or they just disappeared. This is the regime that we are dealing with. That is ZANU-PF, way of dealing with any, democratic voice. Sheer brutality. And they do not bother to hide it. Nowadays they don't bother to hide it. Every time when I think about how, how can somebody be so proud of, doing inhumane things to other people? I think of Chris Mhlanga. He spoke and he says, we will lock you up just for the sake of locking you up until, the visitors have gone away, or until, a certain issue or movement that we wanted to take place has died down. And then when we see that, it's over, we'll let you out. Since when do you take law into your own hands? Since when has ZANU-PF become, the police, the judge, the prosecutor, everything? This is what ZANU-PF is all about. Thugs who have they have no respect of the law and order. They do as they please, basically.
What is disheartening here too is the fact that we have got those in authority treating Zimbabweans with such inhuman brutality. It's unreal. To those who are not familiar with the story, Blessed Mhlanga was arrested because he had interviewed Blessed Geza. And Blessed Geza had criticized the regime for being corrupt and tyrannical. It is not a crime to report such things or to give voice to people like that. And even if it is a crime, even if somebody has committed a crime, they're entitled to due process. And then even if they're sentenced to prison term, they should be treated with dignity. What we are seeing here is a situation where the prison officers are beating up prisoners, marching them out of their cells naked. They pour water on a concrete floor on a cold day and ask them to sit on this cold concrete for more than 30 minutes. Why are you doing that? Why would you treat another human being as if they're less than, even an animal? You won't treat your dog or cat like that. And yet here is a fellow human being, and you're subjecting them to that uncalled for cruelty. What wrong have they done? They're being punished because one of the prisoners had snatched a gun from the prison guard and escaped. Why are they being punished for it? What did they have to do with that crime? I mean, this is one of the problems we have in our society. We have allowed this lawlessness, this ruthless regime to stay in power for so long. Now it's rot, it's permeating down into the rest of society. This is very sad. This is truly tragic. Ben.
It is. The worst part about it is that, when you listen to the likes of Mhlanga, the way he says it, he says it with so much conviction, and he doesn't see anything wrong with it. And that's a very, very dangerous place to be, because it means not only have you lost your Ubuntu, but you have now disregarded life, another person's life. Because not only does this treatment damage somebody physically, it also damages them psychologically. You will never be the same after such harsh treatment. I mean, the brutality now has gone even towards opposition women folk. We had some ladies that were abducted, and they were put through, shameful and the lowest persecution, and they don't bother to hide it. They don't bother to to try and downplay it. They say it freely, with an open heart, mellow. I hate to think about a person that reaches to such an extent in terms of their thinking, their conscience, if there is any conscience left. Once you have gotten to that dark place, like where ZANU-PF thugs are, I think there's a point of no return, and they've crossed that line. They cannot be helped.
Well, here is a contrasting story. This is Ruben Marwe, one of the regime's public media face, a very familiar face to many Zimbabweans. I'm sorry about the sound. For some reason, we have lost sound there. Of the picture, but no sound. My apologies about that. But the bottom line is Ruben Marwe is actually on this video clip thanking Chivayo for giving him a car and depositing 100,000 US dollars into his account. And is thanking the president also for allowing Chivayo to give him the money. The story itself, it leaves such a bitter taste. He boasts that he was given this in recognition for his steadfastness in representing ZANU-PF, defending ZANU-PF in the public media. Here is an individual who had worked for a regime that from the word go, Zimbabwe's public media, print and electronic, were meant to serve ZANU-PF. And ZBC and the print media have gone to the extent of brainwashing the people of Zimbabwe. Instead of educating we have said on this platform that one of the things that is required for a healthy and functioning democracy is that the electorate should be educated. Here is a spokesperson who boasts of his role for the last 40 years in brainwashing the people of Zimbabwe. And he's being rewarded with a car and $100,000 paid into his account. And yet, an independent journalist who had allowed Gesa to speak, the freedom of expression, was incarcerated, sent to jail, and treated as if he was an animal. This is the tragedy of Zimbabwe. Ben, would you like to give your closing remarks?
In closing, I would want to say, in light of all that is happening in Zimbabwe, the situation will not change until we, the people, act and make a decision as to what needs to be done to change our current situation. Otherwise, this will be the order of the day. A lot of people are still looking for solutions to say, what is the solution to get ourselves out of this mess? I would have thought by now that we would have passed the looking for solution stage, because the solution was given. The solution, we have actually played the videos over and over again. And I believe people have chosen not to follow the solution or not to hear the solution, but they have their own solution in the background. And this has caused us just to blunder from pillar to post. And unless we put our act together, ZANU-PF will always do as they please, including murder, brutally, assault other people and wrongfully imprison them, just make them sit in remand prison for 3-4 years. That is how they run their business. That is how they do their show. So the onus will remain on us. And it is Zimbabweans that have to fight to get us out of this mess. And once we find, we decide on to follow the right way and the right solution, I sincerely believe there would be a new dawn in Zimbabwe. And I hope we do find that route. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you very much for those of you who have been able to join us this evening. Hope you'll be able to do it again tomorrow. Same time, 7 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Zimbabwean time. Good night.